Okay, this is how you winterize a 2023 Coachman Nova 20C Li3. We're going to start right now. First thing you got to do is you got to come in, and what I did here, these are square screws. I took them out. I'm not going to use them anymore. And we're going to start winterizing by emptying the fresh tank. Hang on 1 minute. So this is the view underneath the jump seat on the passenger side. And the first thing you got to do is drain the fresh water tank. That drain is this valve right here. So I'm going to turn it. It's open. And now we're draining the fresh water tank. That's step one. Okay, step two. You take out these screws in the back by the sofa where the Truma heater is, hot water heater. There's a total of 8 screws, 3, 4, and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then back in here, you got to get your hand in. I don't know if I can show you. The valve, you have to open it. That yellow valve, I'm going to point to it, but it's going to be hard to see on the video. And you open that valve up to empty the hot water heater, the Truma. You cannot even see it from here, but you have to take this panel off to drain that tank. You need, again, a number 2 square. Those are the screws you use. So it's draining right now. I'm going to show you how it drains. I got a bucket to collect it right there. You can easily see the drain underneath the motorhome. So I can show you here, maybe. There's the drain. We're collecting it. It's supposed to be 2.6 gallons. So we're going to measure that. So those are the 2 things you have to drain before you start the winterization. So this is step 2. Also, before you even start, drain your gray tank and black tank completely. Make sure they're all drained. Alright, I'm going to show you some more. Hang on. Alright, next step is on the passenger side. Jump seat. And you need to turn these 2 knobs. That's the hot low point drain. That's the cold low point drain. I just opened them. So normal operation, they're like this. To drain, you put them like that. So now they're draining. Okay, we'll go to the next step. You go to the driver's seat and pick up the jump seat cover. And back here is the cold and hot water drains for the bathroom. You want to turn them from being closed to be open. I opened mine already, so I should have showed you before I opened it. And there's the red, which is the hot. So initially that is closed for you to use it. This is the open to drain it. So now they're being drained. So that's the bathroom, sink, and shower drain, which is on the driver's side. The one on the passenger side was for the sink. Okay, I'm going to show you some more. Okay, I have to say I missed initially another low point drain. That is the drain for the freshwater fill that goes from the driver's side of the camper van all the way to the passenger side to the freshwater tank. And that low point drain is down behind the hot water low point drain. So I'm going to turn that. There it goes. I just turned it. And that's going to drain that low point drain. Let me go outside and see how much drained out of that. Looks like not much. But I did miss it, and most motorhomes I've used didn't have that drain, and that's why I didn't notice it. But there it is. I'm going to add it to this video so you know that this is the exact way of doing the winterization. Alright, let me go outside. So, opening that freshwater low point drain didn't drain anything out. And I think because when I drained everything, I took it for a ride, and that line probably drained through the freshwater tank drain. So there's was no drainage when I opened that low point drain. So if you miss it, it may not hurt, but I don't recommend missing it. Go ahead and do those 3 on the driver's side when you do the low point drains. That was one thing I missed, but we got it. Thanks to Michael, the moderator for the Nova Facebook group. Thank you very much, Mike. Okay, next you go to the bathroom, open up the sink, go to hot, go to cold, make sure everything's draining. You can hear it draining out. So I'm draining the sink. It's still draining. So we're doing the cold and the hot. This is the hot. Okay, the hot stopped. Here's the cold. No draining. You don't hear any draining. Next, I'm going to turn this on to divert. Hear any draining? Go to off. Okay, so we'll go back to shower, and there's nothing draining. I don't hear anything draining in either direction. So this is open, cold, hot. I don't hear any more draining from that into the low point drains. So that's done. All right, let me show you some more. Next, empty the toilet, hold it down, make sure everything's all drained. Toilet is drained. No water in the toilet for now. Okay, next thing you do, turn your attention to the sink. When everything's all open and draining, you turn on the hot water, leave it on, switch it to cold water, make sure you hear all the water drained out of that. So that kind of relieves those lines and makes everything drain down out the low point drains. So leave those sit for a little while, make sure it's all drained out. Okay, now I want to go to the next step. Okay, we drained the hot water tank from the Truma into this bucket here, and now I'm going to measure hopefully 2.6 gallons of water. Alright, we're doing that next. Okay, the next step is make sure your water's out of your shower outside. So hook up the shower. Once you get it hooked up, that thing sometimes gets frozen in there, that connection. So sometimes you gotta use that blaster stuff. You can use a connection on it. Now it's working fine. But boy, it was hard the first time. Well, it's been sitting there for a while. So if you don't use it, you know, it could rust a little bit. So, okay, here comes the next step. So to recap, on the passenger side, you're going to open up this drain, which is the freshwater tank drain right there. The low point drain for the cold and the hot. Drain all the water out. That's in the recap. We're still draining. Then on this side, what we did was open for the bathroom, the cold right here, and the hot low point drains. We opened all of faucets, hot and cold. We opened our diverter, make sure everything's all diverted, drained. So the drains are done. We drained the hot water tank and all the low points. Water pumps off. and we drain the outside shower. Now, next step is we're going to go for a ride to make sure all the little drops of water gets out of the tanks. Okay, we're back from a ride. So now we start putting the pink stuff in. That's the next step. So here we go with the pink stuff. I'll be back with you in a little while. Okay, so now we just finished our drive around, emptied all the tanks. All the drains are open, all the low point drains, the freshwater tank drain, and the drain to the Truma. Now, first thing I'm going to do before we winterize is close the Truma's drain and bypass the Truma. Alright, so I'm going to close the drain here. I don't know if I could get a video of it. This is really tight, but we'll get my hand in here, and I don't know if I can show you, but I just closed it. It's closed. So that drain of the tank is closed. The next thing we do is you're gonna turn off the cold water to the hot water tank. So you turn that valve to off, and you turn the hot water that's coming out off. And I think I'm gonna turn it this way. There. Now, there's an overflow drain here that might have some water in it. My recommendation is kind of lift it up and above and have it drain right out through a drain underneath the motorhome. There's a drain for this overflow valve. So that's all drained. So we closed the cold water. We closed the hot water going in. These are the bypass. So we're going to open the bypass. That's going to be opened right there. So now we bypass the hot water heater. Recap this so you have an idea and you know for sure. You close this, which is closed now. That's the cold water. Close the hot water. Turn the bypass on. Okay, so you're gonna bypass. You're gonna have cold water coming through here, bypass in here, and go out through the hot water. All the other is emptied. Okay, so that's ready for winterization. Okay, next step: close the low point drains on the driver's side underneath the bench jump seat. That's closed. That's the cold. That's closed. That's the hot. So those are closed. So we don't drain anymore. That's on the driver's side jump seat. Okay, on the passenger side jump seat, before you winterize, after you drain everything, you got to close the drains. So we're going to close the hot water drain on the passenger side, the cold water drain on the passenger side. These are low point drains. And we're going to close the drain to the freshwater tank. Next, they give you this nice bypass hose, which was stored underneath. I'm going to pull that out, and we're going to close this valve so that antifreeze does not go into the freshwater tank. Okay? That is the freshwater tank exit point into the water pump. So now we bypass that. That's closed off, and we're only going to go in the water pump through this hose. Make sense? Sure it does. All right. The other thing, you got to make sure that your faucets are closed. That's one closed. That faucet's closed. And the outside shower is disconnected at this point. Okay? Now we winterize. Okay, I switched over to a bucket because the holes are not long enough for my 5-gallon tank. This should work. I got 2 gallons in there, and the rest we'll just put away when we get done winterizing. So here we go. We're going to start right now. Okay, I turned on the water pump and it sucked about, I don't know, maybe about a half a gallon in already. So now we're going to do the sink. So what I usually do, and I've been doing this for quite a while, not on a B-van, but it's the same. I turn on the cold water. And you watch that water See? Until it turns pink. See, it's pink now. You're good. Once you see that nice pink, then you go to hot, turn it back on again, and let it run, see, until you see pink. There it goes. Nice and pink. That's done. That took about a gallon. I think we'll be able to do the bathroom yet. So we used about a gallon here. I let it run a bit, you know. Even though it turns pink, let it run a little bit. Okay, now I want to go to the bathroom. Now over here, I'm going to leave it on shower. And I'm going to turn on the sink to hot. Here we go. We're pumping antifreeze through all those pipes. There we go. Now see how pink that is? That's pretty darn pink. Alright, I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to go to cold. Turn it on again. Ooh. And then it sprays you. And then you'll watch that till that turns pink. There we go. That's nice and pink. See the pink stuff coming out? How we doing? We're doing good. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to divert. And I'm going to count to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I just used that as a... I just guess 7 seconds should be enough. The other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to run the toilet. So here's the toilet. Let me get this out of the way so it doesn't spray with antifreeze. And we're going to run that. There we go. Again, run that toilet so you see nice and pink. See that pink?
Hey, wait a minute.
There we go. Nice and pink. Okay, so now we're done on the inside. We did the sink. Done. Cold and hot. Done. We did the bathroom. Cold and hot. Let's go back in here and I'll show you. At the end of the day here, we're going to wipe everything all up. Cold and hot. We did the shower miser. And we did the toilet. Now I'm going to go outside and do the shower. I added a little bit more. We've finished about 2 gallons. I just added another half a gallon. Okay, I got the shower hooked up outside. Don't forget that. You got to winterize that. So you get this little hose and just run it through. See, it's turning pink already. I'll run a little bit. Make sure it's pink. That's it. I think that's pretty winterized. I always go a little extra. Once you see that pink, just run it about a second or 2 extra. All right, that's the shower part. Okay, the last thing you should do at the very end is put a little bit down your P-trap, just to be safe. Even though you ran some antifreeze down, just give a little bit extra. We're gonna put down the P-trap in the bathroom too, a little bit. So here's some going down the P-trap in the bathroom, just so that we. I can't do this one-handed, but you know what? Oh, now we got it all over the. Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it. Now it's paper towel time. Okay, I did forget this. You need to do the shower trap too. So here goes some in the shower trap. Get some in there. And the shower trap. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put a little bit more in there just to be safe. I like to add extra because I don't want any frozen pipes. I rather use a half a gallon. There we go. Than have a frozen pipe. Okay. Now we're done. So now we wiped everything up with paper towels. It's nice and clean. The toilet still has pink stuff in it. Should leave it in there. It keeps the seals moist for that toilet over the winter. And that's about it. So now that I'm done, I am going to definitely leave the Truma hot water in bypass position over the winter. And then in the spring, I'll return it back to the normal position. So it'll be left in bypass over the winter. We'll be putting this back on. Not going to be too hard to put on. And that's about it. That's the winterization of a 2023 Coachman Nova 20C Li3. That's it. See ya. Hope this helped you. One last thing you might want to do at the very end, just to check and make sure you winterized everything. These fresh water connections, you could take the screen out, which I'm not going to do right now. I already did it. these two screens, and there's a little check valve in there. If you press it and you get antifreeze coming out, you know that line is completely winterized. I checked both of these and they both got antifreeze. So when you do your winterization, these lines get winterized from the inside, but you should check it. Like I said, take the spring out, push the little check valve, and make sure you get a little antifreeze come out. That prevents you having a problem down the line, because those are plastic, and if there's any water in there, they'll crack. Believe me, I've seen that happen. The other thing you could do is maybe add a little bit your black water flush, but I never had that freeze. It's a simple thing to add to that. That's it. That's the very end. See ya.